What's going on, Duelists? It's your boy Nick, bringing you today an update to my Beetrooper Ragnarika deck profile for the post-Infinite Forbidden format. For those of you new to the channel, welcome. My name is Nick. We do Yu-Gi-Oh! Content mainly focused around rogue and casual decks alike. If that's the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! That you're interested in, then I highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more of my uploads. We are currently working our way to 2,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. So, with the intro out of the way, Ragnarika is a brand new world premiere archetype that came out in the previous core set, and they just got their second wave of support in Infinite Forbidden, featuring the brand new Ragnarika Wicked Butterfly, a main deck monster that absolutely is insane in my opinion, and really helps shore up some of the deck's weaknesses, and gives the deck another great insect that it can tutor into. Ragnarika Beetrooper has been a deck that has been featured on the channel previously and has received a lot of praise from my viewers, and I just want to thank you all so much for your continued support, for not only sharing my content but liking my videos as well. I appreciate it so much from the bottom of my heart. So like I said, if you're watching this right now and you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And with that out of the way, we're going to dive headfirst into this 43 card deck profile. Like I said, featuring the brand new support from the Infinite Forbidden. Alright, so starting off with the main deck, you know how we do here. We have one copy of Beargrim, Shelled Emperor of the Forest Crown. Not only is this monster an amazing boss for the deck, it is just an absolute house. 3,400 attack stat, can special summon itself from the hand or the graveyard by banishing 3 insects and or plant monsters from your field or grave, and it also prevents your opponent from responding to the activation of your spell trap cards and spell trap effects. In addition to that, during the main phase, it can also wipe the board of all monsters except insect and plant monsters. Just an absolute house of a boss for this theme, so really appreciate to have him on board. Then we follow that up with one copy of Heavy Beetrooper Mighty Neptune and one copy of Doomdozer, 2 very impressive level 8 insects. Pretty much mandatory for the combo pieces in the main deck. Mighty Neptune can special himself by shuffling 3 banished insects into the main deck, and Doomdozer can special himself by banishing 2 insects from the graveyard. So these 2 monsters are just pretty much mandatory in any Beetrooper list you come across for the most part, as one-ofs, very powerful there. Then we have the 1 Beetrooper Sting Lancer. Not only does this card double as non-engine in the form of being like a pseudo DD Crow-like hand trap, but when it's normal or special summoned, it also lets you search for a Beetrooper spell or trap from deck to hand, thus increasing the deck's overall consistency. Amazing card as the searchable one-of in the deck. Then we have the 1 Scary Moth for this list. Really amazing floodgate that the insect typing can abuse overall, and this deck can actually cheat this card out relatively easily and just pretty much floodgate your opponent with a pseudo El Shaddai window-like effect, which is obviously very powerful. Then moving into the enablers, I would say, are 3 copies of Resonance Insect, just an absolutely busted insect card. Follow that up by 3 copies of Dragon Bite, a tech choice of mine that I'm playing in this deck as a normal summon. Dragon Bite's a really cool level 4 Dark Insect Synchro Tuner monster. When upon normal summon, he can special summon a level 4 or lower insect from your hand. Pretty much is just like one of the best starters, I think, for an insect type deck. Just being able to summon out cards like Resonance Insect, among others, is absolutely powerful and shouldn't be understated. Resonance just being the card that you want to abuse as much as possible, since he is just a soft once per turn. Not only does he have an amazing effect when banished, allowing you to add a level 5 or higher insect from deck to hand, but, when he's sent to grave, he allows you to add a level 5 or higher insect from deck to hand, but when he's banished, he lets you Foolish Burial an insect monster from deck to grave, just being an amazing card overall, so you definitely want to max out on Resonance. And Dragon Bite, like I said, is just a nice pseudo-normal summon for this theme. And because he's a tuner, he also grants you Synchro Access, which I think is very cool. We follow that up with 2 copies of Gokapol, just an amazing card to send to grave off of a Resonance Insect's effect. When it is sent to graveyard, you can add a level 4 insect monster from the deck to your hand. He also has another beneficial effect if you added a normal monster with that effect, but we're not playing normal monsters. This is not a giant ballpark deck list, so we're just simply using it as a searcher for level 4 monsters, of which Gokapol can search the brand new Ragnarika Wicked Butterfly, which we'll talk about a little bit more once we get to the Ragnarika stuff. But we follow that up with 2 copies of Beetrooper Scout Buggy. Again, another really amazing extender slash starter overall, just being able to special summon another copy of itself from pretty much anywhere, just enabling you to get more bodies on field to help you link climb into some of the Ragnarika links. Then we do play the 1 scale bomber, not only functioning as an extender, but also like a in-archetype ghost ogre as well. And then we also play the 1 praying mantis, another amazing card to send to grave off of effects of resonance insect. Being able to banish itself from grave to produce an insect token on field is obviously very strong. So you want to just produce as many bodies as possible. Then leading into the Ragnarika support specifically, we do play 3 copies of Evil Seed, the best starter in the Ragnarika theme. He can special summon himself from the hand by sending a insect, plant, or reptile from your hand to the graveyard. In addition to that, when this card is no more special summoned, you can add up to 2 Ragnarika cards from your deck or banishment to your hand, but then you banish a card from your hand at resolution of that effect. Insane card. This card enables so many insane 1-card lines, and like I said, if you guys want to see a combo video, I have no problem bringing that to you. Get this video to 30 likes, and I will gladly bring you guys the updated Beetrooper Ragnarika combo video. So 3 copies of the Evil Seed. Then we do play 1 copy of the brand new Ragnarika Wicked Butterfly. This is brand new out of Infinite Forbidden. Absolutely love the artwork. It's a level 4 Earth Insect with 1800 attack and 0 defense. And she reads as follows. You can discard this card to then special summon an insect, plant, or reptile from your hand. So she functions as a pseudo starter in some scenarios, which is obviously pretty cool. But the real draw of her effect, in my opinion, is the fact that if she's banished from the hand or the graveyard, you can activate this effect during the end phase of this turn. You can draw cards equal to the number of different monster types among the monsters you control that are insect, plant, or reptile. So effectively, if you get her banished from your hand or the graveyard, during the end phase, you can draw cards up to the number of insect, plants, and reptiles you control individually. So if you control like an insect and plant, you draw 2. If you control an insect, plant, and a reptile, you draw 3. Or if you just control an insect, you draw 1. But generally, you're usually going to be ending on at least 2 of the aforementioned types. So she's pretty much a draw 2 during the end phase, which is really, really strong. And the fact that the Ragnarika engine can just constantly keep recurring her, even from the banish zone, every single turn is just insane. You almost have like infinite recursion of sorts, which really helps boost the ceiling of the deck, allowing you to draw into more non-engine for your opponent's turn, and just really bolsters the strategy. And being another searchable level 4 insect that Gokapol can grab is obviously very, very strong. So as a 1-of, she's perfectly fine. I was testing her as a 2-of, but it felt a bit bricky at times, and since we can recycle her so easily through all the Ragnarika support, I felt that 1 was perfect, given that we're also just playing 1-ofs of the additional Ragnarika main deck monsters in the form of 1 Armored Lizard and 1 Samurai Beetle. I think 1-ofs of all the other Ragnarika main deck cards is perfect for the ratio. During testing, they're so easily accessible that it's just almost not worth running multiples. So that's pretty much it for the Ragnarika package as far as the main deck monsters are concerned. Now moving into some of the non-engine that we play, because we were able to increase the non-engine slots in this deck. We're on 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird, followed by 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Again, this is a very hand trap centric format. You want to be able to stop these insane combo decks like Fiendsmith and Snake Eye with as many cards as you possibly can get your hands on. And the fact that the Wicked Butterfly, the new Ragnarika level 4 main deck monster, allows you to draw cards during the end phase, I wanted more usable hand traps that you could draw into to help solidify your end board and just make it that much more difficult for your opponent to try to break your board. In addition to the double or triple Droll and triple Ash, we're also on double copies of Retaliating Sea, another really amazing hand trap of sorts, being like an archetypal D-shifter of sorts. However, against certain matchups, it's not that relevant, so of course, obviously, we side deck out of it. But just a very amazing suite of hand traps, in my opinion, for this list, all of which are powerful in their own right. That rounds out the monsters. Now moving into the spells, of which you play a playset of the Ragnarika Bloom. Not only can this card also function like a pseudo 1-card starter, or 1.5 card starter, because you do need a discard, but it also gives you infinite recursion for your Ragnarika monsters. Being able to summon them from the banishment, graveyard, or the hand every single turn is incredible. Not only that, but also strengthening all your insect, plant, and reptile monsters by 300 attack, and then reducing all other monsters on the field by 300 attack. Just makes your tri-type monsters that much more difficult to beat over and much more menacing from your opponent's perspective, because like that 300 stat boost is technically 600 because your opponent's losing 3 and you're gaining 3. So it's actually pretty big, and it does stack for each copy of Bloom on the field. So you can easily weaken your opponent's monsters while making your monsters just absolute walls to hit over, which is obviously really incredible. So you max out on Bloom for consistency purposes. Then we do play 1 copy of the Beetrooper Field Spell, followed by 1 copy of Beetrooper Descent, another really amazing spell card that is searchable, which is just basically an extender, produces an insect token, and then if you have an insect monster on field with 3,000 or more attack, you can also destroy a spell trap on the board. And then we do play 1 copy of Instant Fusion to be able to get into one of the Beetrooper fusion monsters of which we play, which we'll talk more about once we get to the extra deck. So obviously pretty powerful suite of spells there. And then for the last spell in the main deck, we do just have 1 called by, because again, this is a hand trap centric format, and we do want to make sure that we're trying to force our combo through as much as humanly possible, so the 1 called by helps with that. Moving on to the traps, we do main deck an additional hand trap in the form of triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. So I feel like our hand trap lineup is pretty well bolstered, being able to play not only triple Droll, triple Ash, 2 Retaliating Seeds, but also a playset of Imperm. It's obviously really strong in my opinion. Like, Imperm's pretty much the best hand trap this format, as far as I'm concerned. And then rounding out the rest of the traps, again, this is a 43 card deck list. We do have 1 copy of Ragnarika Hunting Dance, an amazing card to not only help disrupt the opponent on their turn, but also punish your opponent for breaking our board in the process. And we do have the 1 copy of Beetrooper Fly and Sting, which is an amazing counter trap for the Beetrooper archetype, being able to negate monster effects as long as we control a Beetrooper monster. Shouldn't be understated. So that rounds out the 43 card main deck. Like I said, absolutely incredible. Such a fun deck, and just I've been having a total blast testing this deck list post-info. And I do want to take it to locals. Let me know down in the comments if you guys want to see like a tournament report from when I take this deck. And also, if you get the deck profile to 30 likes, I will gladly bring you guys a combos and test hands video with this deck list featuring the brand new support. So now moving on to the extra deck. Extra deck is obviously very strong. It's mainly just chock full of, you know, insect, plant, reptile, good stuff, because we do lock ourselves into that tri-type pretty early on with this deck. But we've been getting drip-fed some additional extra deck support over the past few months, so the extra deck is a lot more fleshed out in my opinion than it was previously. We are on the 1 copy of the Beetrooper Cruel Saturnus, pretty much our only instant fusion target. If it's not required for the combo, but obviously if you draw instant fusion, our combo ceiling becomes much higher, because not only is this card just a free special summon, but when it is special summoned, it also searches the deck for any Beetrooper card, which is very powerful. And if a Beetrooper is banished, you can also special summon a banished Beetrooper monster, which is obviously very cool. So 1 copy of Saturnus. Then we do play the 1 copy of the Diablantis, the Menacing Mantis. We can play this card because we play the Dragon Bite as a normal summonable insect extender or starter of sorts. Because it's a tuner monster, we have access to get into this, and this card lets you Foolish Burial an insect or plant upon summon, which is obviously very strong, and helps us get into our Ragnarika lines in hands that otherwise wouldn't produce a Ragnarika combo. So we play this as a one of. Then we also play the number 3 Cicada King, again a really amazing generic insect rank 3. Being able to negate opponent's monsters and revive insects from the graveyard is just really incredible. Then we're on the 1 copy of Haggard Lizardos, a really amazing generic link 2 that came out in the previous set, followed by 1 copy of Shinobi Insect Hagakuramino. Hopefully I didn't butcher that name. And then we're also on 1 Insector Pico Felina, again another really amazing insect link 2, followed by the 1 copy of Beetrooper Armorhorn as well. Just some of the most incredible, you know, insect links, you know, in Haggard Lizardos being a reptile link 2. Just some of the best generic link 2s that the game provides, we're able to play and make and use, you know, freely at our disposal. And then moving into some more of the Ragnarika stuff, we do play 1 copy of Skeletal Soldier, an amazing link 2 for the Ragnarika theme, just kind of being like a worse version of Elf, Sprite Elf. Just allows you to special summon a Ragnarika monster from the graveyard during your turn, and it helps you link climb. It's just really incredible overall. Then we're also on the 1 Traptrix Adipus, followed by the 1 Ragnarika Mantis Monk, and the brand new Ragnarika Selene Snapper from the Infinite Forbidden set. Ragnarika has a brand new Link 3 monster. For those of you that are unaware, all of the Ragnarika links share the same secondary effect, and that effect reads that while they're in the graveyard, we can target an insect, plant, or reptile monster we control, place it in the bottom of the deck. Note that you can place extra deck monsters. Just because this says bottom of the deck does not mean it has to go to the bottom of the main deck specifically. So if you have like a Mantis Monk engrave and you have like a Traptrix Adipus on your field, you could take the Adipus, put it back in the extra deck, and then revive the Mantis Monk from the graveyard. All the Ragnarika Link monsters share that secondary effect across the board, so you can just take any insect, plant, or reptile you control, place it on the bottom of the deck, and then special summon the aforementioned Ragnarika from the grave, which just makes the Link monsters super recurable and allows you to keep applying pressure on your opponent every single turn. In the case of Selene Snapper gives the deck much needed spell trap removal that they didn't have access to previously, so very powerful card there as far as that's concerned. And then the Traptrick Adipus just being a really strong generic insect Link 3 monster, you know, being able to pop cards on field and negate cards on field just helps assist with the board breaking. Then we do play the 1 Ragnarika Chain Coils, followed by the 1 Giant Beetrooper Invincible Atlas. Again, another really powerful suite of Link 4 monsters that this deck can abuse. And then we round out the remaining 2 slots in the extra deck with not 1, but 2 copies of the Ragnarika Stag Sovereign, a huge insect Link 5 monster that just applies so much pressure to your opponent. Whenever a monster is special summoned from the main deck or the extra deck, this card can destroy 2 monsters on the field, non-target. So we just play 2 of it because I feel like it's really valuable. And you make 1 for obviously the combo, and then you just usually need another one for the follow-up. Just in case, you know, your first copy gets banished or anything, or there's combos that can actually produce both of them on field at once and just put like a lot of pressure on your opponent. So I like playing 2 copies of the Stag. Had to pick up the QCRs because they just look absolutely incredible. But that rounds out the extra deck. Now moving into the side deck. Again, side deck's always up to personal preference, but this is the side deck that I'm choosing to play with for this format. We're on 2 additional copies of the Beetrooper Sting Lancer. Really good. Like I said, it's a pseudo DD Crow-like card / like Bestial-esque type of card. And Graveyard Disruption is really powerful and impactful this format, so I wanted the ability to be able to side into additional copies of Sting if the matchup calls for it. So, you know, we main deck 1, side deck the other 2. Then we're also on 1 copy of Kumungus, the Sticky String Kaiju. I know Kaijus are not that impactful this format, however, this Kaiju is searchable through the help of cards like Resonance Insect. When sent to grave, allowing us to add a level 5 or higher insect from deck to hand means that we can search a card like Kumungus, and just being able to like 1-for-1 trade with our opponent's, you know, boss monster is obviously very strong, so I think it's worth at least a 1-of slot. Then we do play the 3rd Retaliating Sea in the side. We main deck 2, side deck 1, just for those matchups that Retaliating Sea really hurts, like, you know, Ritual and Fusion decks, because that's pretty much when Retaliating Sea has the highest chance of triggering its effect, since it can only special summon itself when the opponent activates a spell that would special summon a monster. Usually Ritual decks and Fusion decks are chock full of spells that produce monsters, so Retaliating Sea is great into those matchups, so we side deck the 3rd copy for matchups like that. Then, of course, for the back row hate, or just, you know, any like the stun matchups, we just side deck Triple Cosmic Cyclone. You know, it's a very amazing quick play spell, being able to out annoying things. And then for board breaking, we not only play a playset of Book of Eclipse, but we're also on a playset of Evenly Matched as well. I feel like this is just the perfect suite for going second and helping break boards. I feel like both of these cards address a lot of different matchups individually. I feel like both of these cards are not respected this format, if I'm being totally honest. Yeah, I know that like in the Fiendsmith matchup, they can make Desiree, and Desiree is like a generic negation. However, you know, there's a lot of instances where Book of Moon can come up. Even if you go first, you can side into this and play it like, you know, proactively on your opponent's turn as opposed to playing it reactively, which I like a lot. And then Evenly Matched is obviously just very strong. Now that we don't have the haymakers that are Borreload, Savage, and Baron, I feel like these types of board breakers are much stronger. And then to round out the last 2 cards on the side is just 2 additional copies of Hunting Dance. We main deck 1, side deck 2 more. Just for those games where we are going first and we just need more disruption, we can side into the full playset of these cards and just, like I said, help disrupt our opponent on their turn and also punish our opponent for trying to break our board. So that rounds out my updated Ragnarika Beetrooper deck list for the post-Infinite Forbidden format. Like I said, if you guys want to get the video to 30 likes, I will gladly bring you guys the combos and test hands for this deck list. You don't want to miss out on that, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already. And with that being said, guys, thank you all so much for your continued support. This is Nick, hitting that end phase. Peace.